if sustainability was as simple as we practice it? Hi there, I'm Arazu. I'm an architect and storyteller, and in this video series I'm going to tell you a little bit about how the built environment impacts every aspect of your life, as a citizen, and why you should, again as a citizen, care about how your cities are designed and why you should be involved in its processes. So these days, everything is marketed to us as green and sustainable. We have green packaging, green tech, green material, green cars, and of course, green architecture. But does coloring something green, or in case of buildings, putting trees on top of them, on their balconies, or solar panel on the roofs and their facade, make them green and sustainable? Or in other words, would these things make a design good for our health and happiness and good for the health of our environment and planet? Well, the answer is no. But before telling you about the impacts of unsustainable design, let me tell you about this whole phenomenon of sustainability in a simple way. So let's begin like this. The way that sustainability is seen in our world of today is a little bit superficial. So in a lot of cases, we are already doing what we were doing before, meaning we are using the same materials, the same processes, even the same mindset of building and designing and creating stuff, and we kind of see sustainability as this end of the process addition to everything, as if sustainability was a beautiful packaging that we are putting on our packaging, on our designs, or on our buildings and architecture, or it's kind of like the makeup or a dress that we put on everything that we create, just as an end of a process adds on. But sustainability is much more complex and layered and profound than just, putting a couple of trees at the end of our design process on our roofs or on our balconies, or installing a couple of solar panels on our facade when we have designed our whole building in the same mainstream way that we were designing before. So let's go a little bit deeper than that. Sustainability in our word is most of the time translated to the word green. So we see sustainability meaning green. And then we also reduce the word green to the color of green somehow, which I really don't know why. But anyways, so I was saying, sustainability in our word is kind of reduced to the word green, which is a part of the sustainability. So being green, being environmentally green, is only a part of sustainability and is actually a part of environmental sustainability, which the environmental sustainability in itself is a part of a bigger concept of sustainability, which has three pillars of social, economic, and environmental. And all these three pillars have to be taken care of and thought about in every stage of our design process and construction process. So we have to think about these three pillars of sustainability in the pre-design phase, in the design phase, in the construction phase, but also in the maintenance of our building. So after the design is completely finished and we are putting it into the world. So if we want to take a closer look, we understand that we are looking at a tiny little bit of sustainability, where we are reducing this huge and complex concept into this narrow notion of placing a tree or some solar panels or coloring our packaging green. Like, honestly, I saw in so many designs that just by coloring the packaging green, we are calling it sustainable, and it's impacting the marketing. It is impacting people's choices, and people think that they're buying something bio or sustainable or good for the environment. So that is funny. And in a lot of cases, those choices that are seen in the first, glance as sustainable, in the long term, they actually have more negative impact on our world. So I want to take a moment and tell you as a listener instead of reducing sustainability to visual trends of the day or some trendy buzzwords, let's see sustainability for what it really is. Sustainability. So when we are talking about sustainability, we are talking about ability to sustain in long term. So if every time that you think about a new project, a new design, or anything that anyone basically puts into this world, we could just ask ourselves this simple question: are we, as humanity, able to repeatedly do this behavior, do this process, use this certain material, use this type of design, and not hurt ourselves, our homeland, and the future generations to come? So if the answer is yes, then you can call what we are thinking about sustainable. And if the answer is no, you have your answer. But there's another point also. For understanding true sustainability, we also need to go first beyond our own personal biases of what the planet means and what humanity might mean to you. So we are talking about, we should be able to do a certain behavior and repeatedly do it without hurting our planet and humanity. But, I think even the concept of planet and humanity is not the same for everyone right now. So when we're talking about sustainability, we really need to reflect also on our personal biases of what the planet mean. Does the planet mean only where I live? And does humanity mean only people of my color, of my culture? So we cannot put a particular ethnicity or a specific group of people aside when we're thinking and talking about sustainability. Okay, sustainability is a concept that sees the whole humanity and the whole planet as one, or at least it should, because at the end of the day, we are all living in the same planet and we are all interconnected, even if we want to believe it or not. And until we cannot, expand our understanding of the world and humanity and sustainability to this more holistic, empathic, and compassionate understanding, we really cannot achieve true sustainability. So, in other words, if we want to also learn from the people from the past, we really cannot solve our today's problems that we created them. Why we need sustainability is basically based because of the unsustainable ways that we have introduced to the world. So we cannot solve these unsustainable ways that we have introduced to the world, and we cannot solve them. So we cannot solve these problems with the same thinking that we have used to create them. So in my opinion, sustainability is really about a deep and complete change in the way that we think and in the way that in our mindset, in our culture, and the way that we see everything, we practice everything, and basically every aspect of our lives. So now that we have talked about, being able to get out of this little beautificated box that we have created for ourselves called as green, and understand a little bit more about sustainability, now we can move forward and talk about the impacts that sustainability, and especially sustainability in the built environment, can have on us and on you and on all of us as people living in this world, and why you should advocate for a truly sustainable city, for a truly sustainable community, and for a truly sustainable design and architecture in general. So I know there are so many definitions of what sustainability means from a technical point of view. And I'm not here to talk about those, but I really want to talk about the impacts of sustainability that, could be much more understandable and felt by everyone as a citizen. So when we're talking about sustainability, this is partially also my own understanding of sustainability. For a building, for a city, for a design to be sustainable, one of the main thing that matters in that, it's accessibility. So a building could be sustainable only if it's accessible and easy to reach and enter by different people, by everyone. So accessibility should be a really big and central element when we're talking about the sustainability of buildings, because a building cannot be socially sustainable when there are no people in it, or when people struggle to enter in it. So the accessibility to the building matters, of course, and that we go to the elements of universal design, so ramps and all those different things that makes it easy for a variety of us to enter the buildings. But when we are talking about the sustainable design, be it in a city or building, accessibility is key. So when we are talking about accessibility and sustainability, it is about placing buildings near public transportation at the architectural level, and at the city level, ensuring that public transportation is accessible through the whole city and it is available. So this is only one aspect that we can talk about when we are talking about sustainability and accessibility, because without people, there's no points of buildings. Another aspect, again, in my opinion, is inclusion. So a design that is not truly inclusive, it is not sustainable. Again, in my opinion, buildings without people don't have really a meaning. So if in buildings we're not considering different people's needs, from a diaper changing station for parents to needs of individuals with disability to needs of new mothers, children, and all those things, a building or a city cannot be sustainable when we are not thinking about the needs of different type of people that exist in the society. So until this point, if a building is sustainable, you're able to enter it, you're able to navigate in it easily, and you're able to meet your needs, which is, not the case for so many buildings of today, as we know. So the third aspect is the material. So if a building is sustainable, if a design is sustainable, of course this material won't be toxic to you. And this goes for the sustainability of a clothing, which we know right now most of our clothings are not really sustainable, especially from this material point of view. They're not good for our health and they're not good for our environment. But the same thing goes for buildings. So the material that are used in buildings, if these materials are not toxic materials, if they're sourced locally, so if they're sourced locally, that would make them sustainable in the terms of transportation, and all the energy that goes into that transportation, into the CO2 emission that those materials would create for just being a material of our building. But also it is about supporting and making the local businesses thrive. So if I'm always importing different materials from different countries, then the local business are not thriving. So if you think about it only about the material points of view, there are so many different aspects that goes into making a building sustainable. So when we are talking about material, another aspects could be, enough sunlight, enough ventilation, sustainable heating and cooling, and all those different aspects. So since buildings really, I think, without people do not make any sense, buildings have a really big role also in helping us to create connections, to foster connections with people around us or not. Most probably, most of you that you're living in your buildings, you really don't know your neighbors. When you work, you're in your office environment, most of the time you might not know the people who are working in the other floors and things like that. And one of the big contributors to that is that you really don't have spaces where you can gather either with your neighbors or with your coworkers or with the people who are working in the same building as you. So architecture has a really big role in that, in you being able to foster connections, you being able to even meet people, in the first place. And this goes both on the architectural level, but also on the city level. So if your city has spaces, that you really don't have to pay for them, but you can stay in them, you can enjoy your time, you can get to know other people in environments that are safe and are friendly to different ages, and they have activities for different ages and different groups. That's another way that a truly sustainable design would impact your life. So you could actually meet people in a safe environment, you could foster connections, and you could get to know new humans. So a third point, which normally should be, forgiven, but it is not in the world of today. So a sustainable design does not really create gentrification in a neighborhood. So if we see, a billboard of this new building that is called sustainable, but is actually making the local residents of that neighborhood go away, that's a marketing technique, and that building is not really sustainable, because a truly sustainable building, a truly sustainable development does not, create gentrification. It should be something that should be, normally in a normal world, I wouldn't have to say this, but I thought I needed to, because marketing is strong. And another point is that sustainable design wins in the long term. So if a design is truly sustainable, if it's done with non-toxic, healthy materials that are good for your health and are long-lasting, first, you don't need to maintain your building as often as possible, which is good both for the environment and for your pockets. So that goes both to the environmental and economic sustainability of a building. And in general, it is healthier for you and it is better for you economically. The point is that I think one thing that is really wrong for the world of today when we are talking about sustainability is that we see sustainability only from one point of view. So is this building economically, especially in terms of economic sustainability, is this building economically sustainable for the people who are building it? But we don't think about if it is economically sustainable for the neighborhood. So does it destroy local shops? Does it destroy the economic sustainability of the local shops, or the economic sustainability of people who later are going to be living in it? So I think sustainability is such a complex and layered but exciting issue, and we really should not reduce it to buzzwords. and to visual trends. And we really need to have these talks and really try to understand and unpack the true meaning of sustainability together. And yeah, not think about marketing and not think about having the answers right away and see, okay, this is the best way to build. Let's build all the buildings like that. We really need to have a lot of talks. We need to have a lot of talks for ourselves to unpack the true meanings of things before we go on and build and rebuild and rebuild and rebuild and use materials, resources, spaces, and create more waste and inequality in our world. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. I feel like that I just talked about so many things that were in my brain. Some of them might seem understandable, some might have not been. But these are topics that I'm constantly thinking about and I'm constantly reading about and I'm trying to understand better. So I hope you enjoyed this video for whatever it has been. And until the next episode on why you should care about your city's design, take care and have a great day. Know that your spaces impact the way you act, the way you behave, and the way you feel. And it impacts every aspect of your life. So please, let's make better cities, better villages, better communities, and better buildings. Have a good day and talk to you soon.